What really makes a story scary? I mean, truly terrifying. Today, we're not just going to tell you a couple of spooky tales. No, we're going to tear down two chilling first person accounts to figure out the anatomy of fear itself. What triggers it, how it ramps up, and what makes it stick in your brain forever. So, let's get into it. We're starting with this line because, wow, it just gets right to the core of what makes these encounters so deeply unsettling. See, this isn't about jump scares. It's about taking something we understand, like joy, and twisting it into something awful. When something that's supposed to be happy becomes horrifying, your whole understanding of the world starts to crack. So we're going to be looking at two completely different scenarios here. First, a really bizarre encounter in what should be a safe suburban driveway. And second, a flat-out, terrifying attack deep in the woods. By breaking them down, we can kind of map out the stages of what makes an experience truly horrifying. Every horror story has to start somewhere, right? And a lot of the time, it begins with something that is it's just off. This is that first stage, where the normal everyday world starts to feel wrong, first in a small way, and then in a big, big way. Okay, so check this out. Here are our two antagonists, side by side. On the left, you've got a human woman, but her behavior is completely unnatural. On the right, you have a creature that is just not human at all. But here's the thing. They both create terror in the exact same way. They violate our basic expectations of how a living thing should look and act. It's that whole Uncanny Valley idea, The closer something gets to looking human without being quite right, the more it freaks us out. Let's really dig into that first story. Imagine this. The narrator just sees a woman standing there, but her posture it's impossible. It's wrong. That one visual instantly tells you that something is very, very off, long before anything else even happens. And boom, there it is. That's the primal brain just kicking right in. This isn't a logical thought, it's pure instinct. The narrator's subconscious has already done the math and is just screaming a warning. It's that gut feeling that this isn't just a weird person, this is a dangerous one. And this is where it all escalates. The narrator goes from just being a bystander to being the target. And that creepy, fixed smile is now pointed right at them. Suddenly, it's not just an unsettling scene anymore. It's a direct, personal threat. So now, that gut feeling from before, it's not a feeling anymore. It becomes a conscious, terrifying fact. All the little signals, the broken neck pose, that manic smile, the sudden snap of her head, it all just confirms the danger. There's no more guessing. This brings us to the second part, the point of no return. This is the moment that passive threat becomes an active one, and the switch just flips from feeling uneasy to absolute panic. We're talking pure primal fight or flight. In that first story, the whole thing just explodes. The narrator does the smart thing, right? They run, they get behind a locked door, but the threat closes that distance with impossible speed. And it all ends with this huge, violent impact that just shatters any hope of being safe. I want you to think about that. 3 seconds. The time it takes you to slam a door and fumble with the lock. This woman crossed an entire driveway in that time. It's that one detail that just pushes this whole encounter into something else, something not normal. That kind of speed feels supernatural. It feels inescapable. Now, in our second story, the point of no return is just as fast, but it's pure chaos. We're talking about maybe a minute total. In that single minute, a normal night around a campfire turns into a desperate fight for survival. The attack, the panic, a scream, and then just silence. It's brutal and it is terrifyingly quick. So you think the chase is over, right? The immediate danger's gone? Well, not even close. The horror is far from over. Let's look at what happens after. The chilling discoveries and the kind of psychological scars that, honestly, they never really heal. And then you get the reveal, the twist that just makes your stomach drop. That massive bang on the door, it was her face. She smashed her own face into the door. But despite the blood, the pain, getting arrested, that terrifying, joyful expression never, ever changes. And that's what makes her something you just can't comprehend. Shifting over to the second story, the aftermath is just grim. It's final. Finding Jake's body confirms their absolute worst fears. And his expression, a mask of pure horror, It's like a silent final word on what happened to him. Sometimes it's not what you see that gets you, it's what you hear. Before they even found the body, they heard the sound, a sound that just bypasses your brain and hits you right in the gut. That one sensory detail tells you more about the horror of that moment than any picture ever could. 38. That's just a number, right? Well, that's how many years have passed for the survivor of that camping trip. 38 years. That number represents an entire lifetime that's been lived in the shadow of one single horrible night. The terror isn't just a bad memory. It's a permanent part of who that person is now. And this is the real human cost of it all. It's not just about being scared or having trauma. It's about the futures that were stolen. This one single heartbreaking question just reveals the true depth of that loss, the lives that were never lived, the families that never got to be. So, what do these two stories, so different on the surface, actually have in common? What's the thread that makes them stick with us long after we're done hearing them? Let's bring it all together.
In the end, it really all boils down to this one line. The camping survivor just perfectly sums up what real horror is. It's not about a spooky moment. It's about a catastrophic loss. A loss of friends, of your sense of safety, of your peace of mind. A loss of the world as you once knew it. And that's really what we're left with, isn't it? One story has this monster that seems to be from outside our reality. The other has a human being whose actions makes zero sense. They're both terrifying, but the question is, which one really gets under your skin more? The thing you can't explain, or the person you just can't understand?